Oh, we are gearing up for a Monday night showdown. And then there were two. Tomorrow night, 35-4 Houston, the class of the Big 12, just one loss in that league. Hard to believe. 35-4 Florida, who won the SEC tournament a couple weeks back in a final against Tennessee. Have they seen toughness? They saw that team, but now they've got to meet the Houston Cougars. You like backcourt play? This game will have that. Walter Clayton has been the best in this NCAA tournament, and he's got Elijah Martin with him. He's got Will Richard with him. On the other side, Houston's big difference this year is they got multiple backcourt threats. L.J. Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, Milo Shuzan. We are ready for Kelvin Sampson trying to become the oldest to ever win a national championship, and Todd Golden trying to become the first in their 30s to win a national title since one Jim Valvano in the 1980s. The point, we're at Alibis and we're gearing up. Jeff Goodman, Jerome McNeil, Rob Doster. How much excitement do we have for this, guys? We knew any way that you slice it, we get a tremendous national title showdown. But Jeff, when you think about what we watched last night, did you not wake up this morning and say, did that really happen?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, absolutely. You wake up and you're like, seriously? Duke really blew that thing? You know, it's shocking. It's one of those where, again, you know, a lot of people are like, well, which was it? Which was it? Was it Duke blowing it? Was it Houston? It's obviously a combination when it comes down to it, and you're, you know, up 14 with 8 minutes left. You know, you're up 6 with a minute and change left. I think you can point to both scenarios, both sides that certainly had something to do with it here. But, you know, if you're Duke right now, if you're John Scheyer right now, you're saying to yourself, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, there's no question about it. It kind of felt like a bad dream. You woke up.
Or a good one.
Yeah, I'm about to say, and if you're on the other side, it's a good dream. But yeah, I mean, we woke up today still somewhat in disbelief about what kind of transpired last night. But for me, the feeling has been excitement. This has been absolutely awesome this entire week. But yesterday delivered, man. You know, everything was kind of building up into that first batch of games. I thought we had a hell of a game in the first game, and just being honest, in totality, probably a better overall competitive game start to finish than the second one. But, you know, the second one was just so mind-boggling, those last 2 minutes or last 5 minutes, however you want to put it, in that huge comeback by the Cougars. But, man, there's been great excitement. Today is a little bit of the calm before the storm, but we got two great teams, arguably the two hottest teams in the country coming into this. John spoke to it. We got backcourt play. You got great front court play. So I'm looking forward to it. And, man, at this point, it feels like a toss-up.
Well, I think the biggest thing you said is that it lived up to the expectation, right? Because we've been pushing off the badness.
Yes.
Every way of the tournament, every day that we've advanced, we've just been pushing it off, right? Oh, it wasn't a great first round. Second round is going to be awesome. Wasn't a great second round, but just wait for the big boy matchups we got in the Sweet 16. Got a little bit better. We had some excitement, but oh, look at these showdowns in the Elite Eight. It was good, not great. You get to the Final Four, 4 best teams you ever seen in the Final Four, like whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it lived up to it. It lived up to the hype.
It
Exceeded the expectation. That first game was thrilling. It was up and down. It was back and forth. Auburn looked like they were going to run away with that thing, and then Florida came out in the second half like a different team. And then the nightcap was, honestly, for 39 minutes, that was a shitty basketball game.
Boring.
And then
it was kind of boring.
And then it turned into – because Duke does what they do.
Yeah.
They did what they did all season long, and they just completely overwhelmed the team that they were playing, and they went away from what they do. That's the more I've thought about it, right, my single biggest criticism of that game and that performance and that coaching performance and John Scheyer's decision-making was that he went away from what made Duke the best team in the country all season long. And that was getting out in transition. That was finding a way to be able to create extra possessions, right? That was not trying to run out the clock and look to get to one action and be able to find a way to win.
How about moving the ball?
Moving the ball.
Ball movement.
They tried to turn it into a one-on-one game. And the problem is, as good as Cooper Flagg is, as good as Con Knipple is, you cannot beat Houston one-on-one. You're just not going to do it.
Well, that's not what they're best at anyway. That's not what they've been able to do to be able to absolutely dismantle and run teams out of the building this year. Duke's been great when they've moved the ball.
Yeah.
And they've been great defensively. That's the other thing. we talk a lot about Duke's offense in the last 10 minutes. Their
Defense.
defense. It was their defense that honestly let them down. It did.
Offensive rebounds.
Right, exactly. I mean, Houston was able to get, Tugler got that huge offensive rebound in the last minute. They just, to me, I thought it was both sides. I think too many people are pointing at just their offense. I think their defense let them down, and their defense have been dominant this year.
Again, up 14 with 8 minutes and 15 seconds left. Up by 9 with 2:15 to go. Up by 7 with 1:15 left. Up 6 with 34 seconds left. Jarrell, with the level that you played at, I agree with you on the defense part, although it took an amazing shot from Emmanuel Sharp just to get them within 3. Let's give them credit on that. But how many times do you hear from your coach, and you heard from your coaches, and you had 2 of them at Marquette?
Yep.
Hey, the little things, the inbounds pass, that inbounds pass, both of them, the one that gave Houston the dunk to get it within 1, and then the last inbounds pass, this heave across the floor, Jarrell, those things cost them the game.
And it's always, for the good coaches, it's about the details and late game execution. You can't speak to that enough. We talked about it, and I've been really saying it all year, but more so now than ever. Once you get to this stage, these are still young guys, man.
That's what we talked about.
And I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. Guys that are 17, 18-year-olds playing in front of 60,000 people for a national title or a shot at a national title, it's different. The pressure is different, and they did not execute well late down the stretch of that game. Like they turned the ball over. They gave up offensive rebounds.
I just felt like if you put game pressure on them at the end of the game, they just haven't dealt with it very often, and then you're putting it at the highest level. They dealt with it early on the season, and honestly, it didn't come through. And, Cooper, he got a good look at the end. It wasn't like they didn't get a good look. He just came up short with it.
I think that saying they didn't have the experience is a cop-out. I think it's a cop-out for Duke. No, the experience of close games is a cop-out. They had 6 games that were decided by 2 possessions this season.
They won 2 of them.
The last 4 games before the tournament started, they trailed in the second half of 3 of them. The game they did not trail in the second half was the North Carolina game where they blew that big lead. They had been through this before. The issue was they did not know how to execute in those situations. I don't think it was the lack of reps in close games. I just don't think that they were ready for what it took to win a close game.
But it's Houston. Houston had the experience of facing Houston's the only team that was winning that game last night.
I agree.
The only one in the country.
I agree.
The only one.
No, I hear you. But the same thing happened with Duke against Kentucky. The same thing happened with Duke against Kansas. The same thing happened with Duke
in November.
Clemson.
Those are different teams.
What about the Clemson one? The Clemson one was February.
Yeah,
the only reason they beat North Carolina.
That's at Clemson.
The only reason they beat North Carolina is because Jalen Withers decided he was going to try to fake somebody into the lane.
And that was without flag too.
It
changes everything though, Rob, because who's getting the ball at the end of the game? Who are you drawing stuff up for at the end of the game?
It's another situation where you're blowing a big lead.
No, right? I agree.
I don't know if you want to put that on Scheyer. I don't know if you want to put that on saying that Cooper flag.
No. This goes on the coach.
Yes, I believe it goes on the coach, but
this sticks with him.
Yes.
By the way, this is just in. Congratulations to UConn.
It's good. Finally, you can feel good about the Huskies. Your Huskies. Good job.
Roll past South Carolina.
I don't know if you've heard, Goodman. We'll talk about the UConn women here in a second, but I don't know if you've heard. UConn got a commitment from Silas Demery on Friday night. We're back.
The final score, 82 to 59.
Indianapolis.
I was going to get through the national championship before we went back
Silas
into the portal.
Demery, what are we doing there?
Gino Auriemma has won his 12th national championship 9 years after a drought in stores. The Huskies are back on top.
Dan Hurley was right. The best coach does reside in stores. His name, Gino Auriemma.
Well, I'll tell you what. Sarah Strong is a beast. 24 and 15. Yeah. AZ Fudd had 24. And if we're talking legacy talk, I know you can support this. Paige Becker's the last thing. Your daughter Talia was covering it. The last thing she had to accomplish was win that national championship, and she just did.
Yeah, amazing. What Gino's done. Again, 30 years in between national titles, 12 national titles, hasn't won one in 9 seasons. I think a lot of people thought, hey, at this point, there's no way he's going to be able to fight. 71 years old.
Wow.
Don Staley has run this sport the last few years. I actually saw South Carolina play and run Texas earlier this year in Columbia. Amazing. It'll be interesting to see. Does he walk away now at 71 on top? I talked to, we'll transition this a little bit. I talked to Kelvin Sampson's wife last night. And I said to her, if Kelvin wins this thing on Monday night, is there a chance he just says, you know what, at 69 years old, I'm good. I'm going to give it to my son, Kellen. And she looked at me. She's like, no way. No way. He sounded like a guy, I think you were there too. I know Fana was there. That was a little bit reflective before Saturday's game. And he sounded like somebody that might be on the verge of saying, you know what, this is it. The game has changed with the portal, with NIL. I'm not sure I can keep this culture the way we've had it. But, again, his wife told me that, and I'm glad, because, man, what Kelvin's done is unbelievable and kind of getting on top after he was run out of the game. He was so good. Second year in Indiana, like they were ready.
Yeah.
Like if he hadn't gotten fired at Indiana, think about what they would have been in Bloomington.
To me, that's one of the biggest what-ifs in college basketball right now, right? Like we have spent how many hours on this show talking about, is Indiana a blue blood? How does Indiana get back to the level of Bob Knight? How do they find a coach that is going to be able to win them national championships and make them not just relevant nationally in the state, because Indiana has got a big fan base, but relevant nationally when it comes to the conversation of who is going to the Final Four and who is cutting down nets on that first Monday in April. And if they had Kelvin Sampson right now, I am convinced they would have won at least one national title since he's been there.
Think about this. In Houston's last 183 games, the Cougars are 160-23. That comes with the last 2 years in the Big 12. Rob, when Kelvin Sampson and the Cougars were moving to the Big 12, he was in the press saying, it's great for our university and we're fine doing it. But he said, I don't think it's great for us, because he goes, I think we're going to have to adapt.
He didn't want to leave the AAC.
He didn't want to leave.
He was like, why would I want to leave it? I'm dominating it.
Well, guess what?
He's dominating the Big 12.
Yeah.
Dominating. 160-23 in their last 183 games. Now in a national championship game. When was the last time they were in a national title game? 1984.
Yeah.
They've never won a title.
Phi Slamma Jamma, man. I was 13 years old, and Akeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, they had dudes, and it's been a long time since they've been able to, celebrate guys of especially it's so different. Right? They don't have that. They don't have the highest level talent necessarily, the NBA guys. You hear it all the time, but it's true with them. It's culture, man. It is complete culture.
It's all culture, and just to speak to that, what a great just redemption arc for his story as well, too. We talked about the Indiana stuff, man, but undoubtedly one of the best coaches, not just in the college game, but in all of college basketball. I had a couple workouts after the Indiana thing when I was going pro, and I think he was around like with the Bucks maybe in Milwaukee for a while, and he was doing some of the workout stuff. But just an all-around great guy, man, and you could tell just still how much – it's impressive to see how much his message and his accountability and his culture still resonates with the guys that are doing it today. Obviously, he has a much older and much more mature team, but he's doing it his way. And there's not anything close to being opposite of buy-in from all of those guys, and I think that's why we're sitting here today talking about them getting ready to play for a national championship.
It really is what he's built there, not just in terms of winning, because there's a lot of different ways that you can win, right? But the culture there really is special, and I feel like that's a buzzword in college athletics that we probably spend too much time talking about, but it's different there. I make this reference all the time, but Juwan Roberts passing down quite literally millions of dollars to come back, and I'm sure he got something. I'm sure he's not going going hungry, right?
For sure.
He's not like Shabazz Napier where he can't afford to eat before the NCAA.
Those days are over.
Those days are over, but he probably passed up on 7 figures. 7 figures in NIL compensation to stay at Houston. And I don't – that is something that should be celebrated, right? Because of what he built, because of the connectivity, because of how – we talked last night a lot about, like, who is the most connected team that they have here. And it's Houston, man. Like, the way – when you watch them at timeouts, right? Watch the way they get off the bench. Watch the way when someone checks out of the game, what happens when he walks to the bench. I think that says a lot about what Kelvin has built there. And if you watched maybe the end of what happened at the Auburn game in the second half, there was no one in that Auburn team in the last 5 minutes that felt like they were grabbing everyone together and saying, we're going to go fucking win this game. Like, we are not losing. And if you go back and you watch what happened in Houston, everybody was saying that.
Everybody.
And to me, that says a hell of a lot about what he's been able to build there.
I want to ask you, because you covered John Scheyer and you know how he's wired, and you know it better than anybody, that guy's an ultra competitor. My thought process is this stings forever. It's not something that he'll always think about with this particular team. There's a lot of reason to believe that this will not define him, big picture. But it's part of the definition until he avenges it.
Well, because, again, you're still early on in your career. You're coming off an Elite Eight loss to NC State that has stuck with you for the last year. You got the best player in the game. You got a bunch of other freshmen. You put together a team that, frankly, probably was the most talented of any team in the country.
Absolutely.
They were missing maybe one piece. Yeah. A point guard would have helped, certainly, down the stretch. But, ultimately – he's going to have a great team next year with the Boozers. The Boozer twins, as much as Cooper Flagg, we talk about playing the right way, valuing all the right things, playing hard in every possession, not giving a shit about the media and the attention and all those things in an era in which it's easy to do so. The Boozer twins are just like Cooper Flagg, and you got two of them. You got two of them. You got a point guard and a 5-man. They're different, obviously. You could put the ball in Cooper Flagg's hands, and he can do everything. You've seen a lot of these kids because you coached against them in EYBL. The future is going to be bright in Duke for John Scheyer as long as he's there. But, again, there'll be a point where Duke fans will get restless if you don't win a national title, no matter how many Final Fours you make.
Oh, 100%.
Totally.
I think you hit it on the head. I've known John for a long time, a year or two younger than me, but watched him since he's been in high school. And that's one of the things a lot of people – it's kind of hard to tell if you don't know him. John's one of the most competitive people I've ever known. Great dude, really nice guy and all of the stuff. Looks like he's 15 years old still, but he is an absolute killer, and I know this one is going to sting a lot. But like you said, right now, man, they're Motown. They're Berry Gordy. As long as they can keep pumping out the hits on this recruiting trail and getting top-tier talent and mixing it in
and the right ones.
And identifying good portal guys, he will be back.
I don't disagree with you, but I will say this. He will be back, and his team should be very strong again next year, and I can't wait to watch Cameron and Caden Boozer, but that class has 2 other 5-star kids as well. That being said, it is only human nature, and this is where he has to block out the noise. When he gets in his first big spot in the NCAA tournament next year, the questions are going to come in about how did you treat things psychologically. They're going to come in at media day in the fall. Like, how did you don't get over it, but how'd you go about your offseason mentally? And in these late game situations,
lost in the first round. Like we're talking about, like he was Tony Bennett that first time, and he lost to UMBC.
But his team was the clear favorite.
Yes. But the next step was getting the Final Four. He did that. So you can focus on this, and that's fine. That's fine, but he still took that step. He has a Final Four in his resume now in year 3.
Absolutely. Which is impressive.
Damn right it is.
It's impressive, but he also had the clear-cut best team here, I believe. You guys can disagree with me if you want. I know how you feel about it.
Not head and shoulders to a huge point.
And there's a reason why we were all saying, like, who's going to win.
I think so.
Significant advantage.
They had high-end talent.
Yeah, but hold on. So they dominated that game. They dominated that game for 32 minutes. They were up by 14 with 8 minutes left, and they gave it away. We can celebrate Auburn coming back, but the fact of the matter is that Duke gave that game away. They made the mistakes down the stretch. This comes after what happened at NC State, and this is going to be something because I know how the media works, right? We know how this business works.
Yeah,
and it's
you're
not,
part of the
You're
one.
we know how the hot takes stuff
is he
works.
part of the problem, Jeff?
You're Harry Hot Take. I'm done.
So this is going to be something that until he actually gets to a national championship and wins it,
Agreed.
everyone is going to say that he can't win the big game. That is how this works. Do you know what's going to happen on First Take on Monday morning? The headline is going to be Stephen A. Smith saying, I told you that John Scheyer is not going to be able to do this. And that is the stuff that people can, like, this is going to be the narrative that defines John Scheyer.
I mean, the people
until
that know,
he
though,
wins it.
understand. Yes, Stephen A. Smith has no idea because he hasn't watched college basketball. But those of us who covered it all year also know it's a one-game deal. It's a one-game deal. Again, should they put him away? Absolutely.
Yes.
And this is going to gnaw at him for another year. That's the hard part of you, John Scheyer, right? You just went through a whole year where you kind of wanted mentally to fast forward and get to the tournament because you knew you had this type of team. But I thought he did an incredible job preparing these kids. They fell apart at the worst moment.
It is a storm cloud that hangs over your head until you avenge it. And whether it's fair or not, when you're the head coach at Duke, when you're the head coach at Kentucky, when you're the head coach at Kansas, when you're the head coach at Connecticut, you are held to a different standard than other coaches. And the judgment of your success is whether or not you win rings. That's what the standard is. That's what the expectation is. John Scheyer is in position to win multiple national championships in his career.
Absolutely.
You could say that and also acknowledge the fact that when he gets in his next big slot in the NCAA tournament, and if they don't close, we're in a world where, you're right, Rob, Duke fans are going to start to say, I'm beginning to get concerned because I want to win these games, Jarrell. That's why Duke is Duke.
And it's crazy for me because, and this is why we all love this game. This is why we all love this sport. We were literally 24 hours before talking about how great of a job and this transition from arguably the greatest coach ever
Like 5 minutes
to Scheyer.
totally changed that.
5 minutes of real lifetime, the narrative completely shifts. And I think John just spoke to it. He's in that seat now. He has to wear it. Once he gets back to this point, he's got to exercise some demons.
He does.
I don't think that it's entirely wrong to question that at this point. Like,
Question what?
Just can he win in the big moment? And not
But
saying
he's
that
only
he's
been
not,
in this
no,
chance
I know,
really in this spot once.
I know, but I don't think
Last
it's
year
wrong.
he didn't have a team.
I don't think it's wrong to maybe not question if he's capable of it, but to criticize him for that right now at this point, because when it's
Players
it's
got to play,
but look,
too.
No, I get it, but it's a 14-point lead with 8 minutes left when you are a 6-point favorite
He's
against someone in the
he's
Final
also
Four.
a third-year head coach.
I get all that.
You might have to learn.
I get all that.
You might have to learn.
That's
a
fine.
lot of guys, by the time they get to ACC, being a head coach, Todd Golden, in the SEC, he already did years at San Francisco where he could screw up and you weren't condemning him. I wasn't condemning him.
Absolutely.
You weren't.
I'm not.
Right?
I'm not condemning.
You can
him.
make those mistakes. What I'm saying is,
I
you
also-
can make those mistakes where people aren't really
But
crucifying
not everybody
you.
gets
But I
handed
don't.
the
I
Duke
also.
job.
But I also
Correct.
think
Not as the
You gotta
first
learn.
gig.
I don't think that it changes. I don't think it changes the narrative that we were talking about. Like, he has still done an unbelievable job. Unbelievable job replacing Coach K. That is inarguable. Look at what he built there. And you can also say he has done an unbelievable job building that. But they also just kind of pissed down their leg for the second time in the tournament in 2 years. Like,
Well
all
said,
of-
because last year they
all of
should have
those-
won that game.
All of those things are true, and what frustrates me is that we'll see it on when some of these national media shows get a hold of it. That context is going to be lost, right? You can say John Scheyer's done a fantastic job replacing Coach K, and he built one of the best teams that we've seen in a long time in college basketball, and he did it with a 17 turned 18-year-old that he built this team around. Fantastic job in the portal, unbelievable job coaching him all year, and then they had a disastrous 8 minutes, and it's going to ruin his offseason, and it's going to ruin everything that he just did, and it's a stain on his resume. All of those things are true. You have to be able to talk about it in totality, but that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be John Scheyer is a choke artist that can't win, blah, 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 all that. And that's what frustrates me.
I just think you got to give it more time to be able to assess that. This to me could have been a one-off. He wins the title next year.
But I can't fast forward.
Oh,
So
it's
I
an
can't
amazing,
say like
it's amazing
when he's
event
48,
story.
we can look back on it. You know what I mean? But we don't have that ability.
So how many titles again did Coach K win in his last 10 years?
One.
Correct.
2015.
One.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT. He
I
won
know.
one in 10 years.
It's impossible to do.
He
and
won
that's-
one in 10 years.
It's impossible
And
to
now we're in
do.
the NIL era. Like it's a different
Yes,
era.
It's so hard to do, which is why I'm frustrated that the entire narrative is going to be those last 8 minutes instead of saying this is a stain on a resume that looks unbelievable through 3 seasons.
Well, I don't know about. He's done an excellent job.
Yes.
He has done an excellent job. Has it been unbelievable? He was in a horrible conference this year.
Yeah, no.
That league was weak.
I think he's
That
done
league hurt them.
He's done
Yes,
a
it
very
It
good
did.
job recruiting, especially this year, right? I mean, you get Cooper
Outstanding.
Flag. You get Cooper Flag when everybody else, Kansas wanted him. Everybody
Everybody
wanted
wants
him.
The
UConn
portal,
wanted him.
and he portaled well.
Yeah,
Portal really
exactly.
well.
So I think he's learning. He's learning at this point, and that's what I guess I'm trying to say is like,
No, I-
can he take that next step?
I agree with everything you're saying. I think that when we talk about him, I want that to be the conversation in totality is everything that we're discussing here. And I don't think that what's going to happen on Monday when you turn on these big talk shows on the big networks, I don't think you're going to have this conversation in totality. The conversation is going to be the last 8 minutes that happen right there.
Might be.
And that is what's going to define
Will
him. and
Cooper
it's not-
Flag get in?
That's what I was gonna say because
Sure.
I'm interested to see that
We're gonna
because
break.
it's already started.
He's going to.
He has to wear some of it
Let's,
too, right?
let's talk
That's
about
We're
that.
going to
Fire
break
side.
on the other side. We're going to talk about Cooper Flag and what you make of his one-and-done season. We know he'll be the #1 pick this June. And I got to bring it up, too. Con Knipple had an amazing first half, and then things went real silent in the second. How much of it was Houston? How much of it was Duke's youth? Plus, how Todd Golden is a win away from a national championship in his third year at the helm at Florida. This is a special edition of the Field of 68, previewing the national championship game. We got a great crowd in Alibis. Let's hear you guys. There we go. We'll be right back after this.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. I want my home to feel like my home. So whether I'm looking for big furniture, just a small piece for my place, or maybe some storage solutions for the basement or the garage, the answer is Wayfair. Seriously, I needed a new patio set and fire pit for my backyard. I bought it on Wayfair. It looks great on our deck, and it gives me an excuse to fire up the smoker, invite some friends over, crack a couple beers. Just last week, I bought a new chair for my office, someplace comfortable to sit while the madness takes up the 4 screens in front of me. I got it on Wayfair, clicked a few buttons. A couple days later, it showed up at my front door. They even offered to help set it up for you. Digging through online stores can be intimidating. Trust me, I know. It can be hard to find what you're looking for in your price range, but not on Wayfair. They have great options, even if you are balling on a budget like me. Wayfair has every style for every home, including mine and yours. So head to wayfair.com and shop everything home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Owning property in the state of Texas is difficult enough. Paying taxes on your property should not make your life any more complicated. Ownwell believes that when it comes to paying property taxes, you should only pay what's fair. In under 3 minutes, you can sign up and have their team of Texas experts start saving you money without a single upfront cost. It's easy. When you sign up, you get an instant estimate of the tax savings they can get you so that when that property tax bill comes due, the amount that you have to fork over to Uncle Sam isn't quite as painful. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of customers receive a reduction with an average savings of more than $1,100. Imagine how much less stress you'll have in your life knowing that you could take some of the money that you have earmarked for the IRS and spend it on, I don't know, an 85-inch flat screen to watch March Madness. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most Texas counties. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com. ownwell.com/CBB. That's OWNWELL.com/CBB.
Oh, welcome back to the Field 68. Let's hear all our fans here at Alibis. All right. Let's give a big welcome to the father of a two-time ACC Defensive Player of the Year, John Henson. Matt Henson is with us today. All right. Even the Duke fans applauded. Even the Duke fans applauded. All right.
He sent someone to Duke. We got my sister went to Duke.
That's
So
right.
yeah.
That's right. We love having your son as part of our crew. You got to tell us about your favorite story of John Henson growing up, of hooping, of your first memories, and what made when you knew this kid was a little bit different. Besides the fact
when
that
did you see like, okay, he might be something? I'm curious. I never asked him that before.
It was very early.
Okay.
Very early. It probably came to light more when we were in Michigan. We lived in Michigan. I sent him to a camp. You remember Speedy?
I remember.
Duran Walker?
I remember, yeah.
So
couldn't leave the fence.
It was called a camp in the hood.
Yeah,
That's what it's called in Detroit. So I sent him there, and after the camp, I got a phone call from a guy named Duran Walker. And he said, hey, I just want to tell you something. He said, your son's got it. He said, I've been around Chris Webber and all the guys in Michigan. He said, I saw all of them at this age, and he said, all you got to do is just keep pushing him and nurture it. He's got it. And that was probably some validation. I thought that all along, but when someone else, who's seen other players come up, that kind of gives you some validation.
Speedy's ahead of the scouting for the Pistons. I don't know if he is now, but he's a Pistons scout now.
So when he was a kid, how much of a pain in the ass was he?
He got into stuff all the time. I'm gonna tell you that.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh yeah, definitely. It wasn't too bad, but at times, typical boy stuff.
Harmless fun.
Harmless fun.
Harmless fun.
Yeah.
Harmless fun. So
always made curfew.
Yeah. Well,
some days.
He think I don't know. I know he sneaked out.
So your daughter's sister goes to Duke, correct?
Yeah, she went to Duke. Yep.
She
So
did.
when Duke plays North Carolina, like, how does this rooting allegiance go? Are you wearing like the split jerseys, the split T-shirts?
Well, it's pretty easy. All you got to do is look at that Duke tuition, and they're paying the tuition. Go Duke. Carolina, but to heart, Carolina fan. But always going to support my daughter in her school, so it wasn't hard.
We're a Carolina house, though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely Carolina house.
You're saying that right now.
We know for sure. You're 100%.
So when Carolina knocked Duke out of the tournament in 2022 in the Final Four, I know he was happy about it.
Yeah.
Shawan Williams was happy about it. He came on the show.
Yeah.
Celebrated more than anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Last night, there wasn't a single person. You could look at every single Houston fan in the Alamo Dome last night, and you want to know who the happiest person in the entire city of San Antonio was last night? Right here. Right here.
Oh, well, you know what? I saw a post that he did. It was the post of the year. There were two Duke fans sitting there with their hands in their face.
Yeah.
That was classic.
They were distraught.
Was that you after the game?
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't me, but I loved it. I saw that. I must have watched it like 10 times.
Was that fun for you?
It was fun. It's in my blood. I was there 3 years, so I wasn't there like a year. And, it was a rival, man. They beat us. We beat them. So it's just ingrained in me. So, and I can't help it. I was happy they lost. I couldn't help it.
What were you thinking? Like, what were you thinking watching that? Because we've talked about it a ton. Is that one of the all-time collapses you've ever seen?
Oh, absolutely. I thought, with 2 minutes to go, I was like, it's not looking good. And then all of a sudden, the defense kicked in and turnovers came, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. This thing's changing. But it was definitely a great game, good for sports, but loved it.
So we were told to ask you by your son, why he didn't end up at Texas. Why you didn't end up at Texas, right?
Because I wanted to go to Texas, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to go to Texas.
I wanted to go to Texas.
He always liked Carolina, but he wanted to go to Texas. Mm-hmm. We lived in Texas. We went to Texas game.
Austin. We were in Austin.
Yeah. Rick Barnes. The whole recruiting game is interesting. But I'll tell you, the thing that kind of really turned it around, and there were other things before, but the main thing was when he committed to Carolina, and it kind of solidified what we already thought.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I got a phone call. It was a Sunday. I think it was a Sunday evening. And Rick Barnes was on the phone. And he goes, "You didn't get our permission for him to commit." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. What do you mean, permission?" It's like, you don't own us. You don't own him.
Yeah.
That didn't go well at all.
And I had broke my nose, and so Texas provided me a mask. They came to the high school and said, "Hey, we need that back." So, that was just
the conversation ended very. I ended the conversation, but I ran into one of his assistant coaches, and he wanted to apologize and like, "Hey, can I get you guys together?" I said, "You tell Rick Barnes I got a 39-inch arm length, and if I get within 39 inches, I'm going to punch him in the face."
Shout out Rick Barnes, though, man. It's like, I like Texas. At the time, I was young, though, and he would be like, "Hey, look, man, like, take your time. Look at other schools." I was like, Texas, because I was going every weekend.
Yep.
Dexter Pittman, I was hanging out with him, going to football games. So it was actually probably the best decision I ever made. So not to
Worked
go
out for you.
So then what about Roy? What did you think of Coach Williams?
I like Coach Roy. Great recruiting trip. Carolina speaks for itself. Great history, great program. I believe if you stayed in the state, the other team would have probably been Baylor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Baylor.
If you ask me who was the coolest coach in the recruiting process, Coach Drew at Baylor.
Yeah, we like Scott Drew.
He was the
around
first
here.
person to offer me, too. So
Yes.
that
Drew
meant
was.
something.
He was on with us Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on with us Friday
And the one
afternoon.
thing that's different, even though he didn't go there, he gave me a cell phone number. We stayed in contact for years and pick him up and call him anytime. Great guy.
Scott Drew is a big-time bass fisherman, right?
I got to go up and see him then.
Yeah.
I got to go up and
Yeah.
see him. Okay.
He every time he goes out, I get a picture of like the 8-pound bass that he catches. I'm like, I'm celebrating catching
Waco's got some good
little dinks.
Waco's got some good lakes too. So
I took him fishing the other when I was in Tampa.
Yeah.
Did he tell you this?
No.
Ask him who caught the smallest fish.
I did, but I was taking the back seat. I let the tourists
okay.
hang out up front. You know what I mean? So
What do you remember about draft night, 2012, when he got drafted?
Wow, that was an interesting night. I believe.
Where was the draft?
New
It
York,
was in New York.
New Jersey, Prudential Center. I
And
believe.
I think
Center,
at the
okay.
time we had communication that Detroit
was
was interested. Then
They were going to draft me at
they
9.
were- yeah.
Yeah.
You always wonder, okay, how much of the guys hurt? You know,
Drummond
you've heard.
Drummond dropped out of the top 5.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
what
right.
happened.
Yep.
That changed everything.
Yeah. So
It did.
Yep.
then
So
you went 14.
Detroit wanted a big. They called me and said, "Hey, we're going to take Drummond." Milwaukee had promised at 14, so I knew I wasn't going past 14. So that's what happened. So good decision too
Yeah.
by Milwaukee, because I feel like they really wanted me. Detroit kind of wanted me. I would much rather dropped because it helped me later in my career. So
All right, we'll end it with this and let you get out of here and go continue to enjoy your weekend. I need your best story about him when he got in trouble, something he did wrong. Give me a good story about him from growing
I was a
up.
model citizen.
Wow.
Somehow I don't believe that. For some reason, I don't believe by that.
He didn't get in a lot of trouble. He really didn't. And he did the normal mischievous things that kids do. But he never got in trouble. I mean, he did things that he thought I didn't know. I just didn't say anything.
So like what? Give me an
I was
example.
sneaking out of the house at night.
Yeah.
You snuck out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be quiet, man.
Well,
In
I
school?
thought I was being quiet.
Skipping school, you said?
Not skipping school, but
I like school. I
You-
like
you
being in
know
school.
things.
I'm a social
Yeah.
person.
things.
Yeah.
And I think one night somebody damaged the truck and took the thing out. I don't know if that was the same night or not.
Oh, when they took all the stuff out in the drive?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I had nothing to do with that. I was in the house. I remember that, though. But no, that's not me. That had nothing to do with it. See, he thought that was me. That wasn't me that time.
Revisionist history.
I don't know.
Thank you for
Hey,
joining
thank
us.
you.
Appreciate you jumping
Matt
on,
Henson,
man.
thank you
sir.
very much
Appreciate
for
you
joining
jumping on,
us.
man.
Big
All right,
time,
thank
big
you.
time stuff. Coming up next, we are going to get some firsthand perspective from the Florida Gators side. Jonathan Safir, the director of basketball and strategy for the Florida Gators. What a job he has done. He joins us on set in just a few moments. Stay with us.
People have opinions about me, strong ones. Some compare my brand to the competition and call me a copycat. Some say that I'm just watered down, that I fall flat. I've heard it all. But the people who get me, they say I'm different, subtle, but balanced. Nothing to hide, nothing artificial. And once they give me a chance, they keep coming back for more. For more dab water. That's right, I'm talking about dab water, and I swear by it. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail made with real tequila. 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and gluten-free. Find Dab Water's 4 flavors in an 8-pack variety pack or single flavor 6-packs. Dab Water invites you to enjoy its great lineup of products all tournament long. Take it from me, Jeff Goodman. Sometimes the most polarizing things are the best things. Dab Water, tequila, water, natural flavors.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Alibis. Let me hear you, Alibis, on a Sunday. Come on. I tell you what, San Antonio is an elite one of one Final Four host city. Thank you for all those who are from around here for welcoming us this week. John Fanta, Rob Doster, John Henson, and pleased to be joined by the director of basketball and strategy. This man handles so many of the analytics, so many of the things within the program. I think he's one of the smartest, bright young minds in college basketball.
Well,
with the exception that he shares an alma mater with Rob Doster. We won't get into that. No, it is Jonathan Safir of the Florida Gator staff. Let's give him a big welcome. Florida.
we got Houston fans here, I guess. We got Houston fans
Had
here.
the other team won, I would have had to pull you to the side and say, listen, don't let this go down.
No doubt. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. You got to tell us here. Last night, you guys come out of that tunnel. Obviously, you practice and you go through the media activities, and it's a lot happening there. But when did it hit you last night within the course of that game that, hey, we've got this. I've got Walter Clayton. I've got Will Richard. We've got these dudes here. We're going to get this done. We're going to be 40 minutes from a national title.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that first half last night, really, Janai Brooms in particular had his way with our front court. And I thought down by 8 at halftime, we had 20 minutes left to kind of figure it out. And we're talking as a staff, and the reality is, or was, that we weren't playing that well. Yet we knew if it was close late, we'd have the best player on the court, shot maker, and Walter Clayton. And also that to be down 8 and not play that well means that we play a little bit better at 1-5-0, 1-8-0 run. We're right back in this game. And I thought, before I fully answer your question, the turning point really for us was we were down 49-40. I forget what happened when we missed a shot. I forget what the shot was, but Will Richard came flying out of nowhere and an offensive rebound and one putback. And that kind of just ignited us. And then you could feel the passion, feel the energy, feel the tide kind of shift. And then to come full circle to answer your question, it was really 2 plays. Waltz and 1 driving the left side. I think that put us up by 6 with maybe a minute and a half to go. And then when it really hit was Tommy Houck's and 1 to put us up 8. He ended up missing the free throw, but his and 1 to put us up 8 with maybe 50 seconds left before Baker Mazzara made a 3 to cut it to 5.
Yeah, I thought it took a lot of stones to stick with your strategy, right? Like, it was basically we're gonna make Janai Broome beat us one-on-one of the post. More or less is kind of what you guys wanted to do. And in the first half, he kicked your ass a little bit. He looked like the National Player of the Year. In the second half, they had 46 points, 32 possessions. I'm doing the analytics for you,
Sure.
the numbers here for you. 46 points,
Thank you.
32 possessions in the first half. Second half, 12 points in the first 12 minutes. I thought that the difference was kind of simple. Your 5 men decided that they were going to stop Janai Broome, and that worked, and it allowed you to keep doing what you're doing. When you're in that locker room, when you're trying to make those decisions, how do you get to the point where you say, I'm going to keep doing this thing that isn't working? How do you make that decision? How does that happen?
Yeah, well, to your point, we did make the decision to stick with the game plan and to think that, hey, if Janai can score twos overhand all night for 40 minutes, we'll tip our caps. But we didn't really have any other options or choices because leading up to the game, we didn't really work on potentially doubling. And if you double, Janai is a really good passer, especially with his back to the basket. And Miles Kelly, Chad Baker-Mazara, Tahad Pettiford, Denver Jones, all really good shooters. And they already have a lead. 3s are worth more than 2. These would be open catch-and-shoot shots. And they already had a lead. So we're thinking all we can really do is dig deeper, get a little tougher, both guard Broome better with physicality and hit him over the course of 40 minutes, hopefully wearing him down. But also another key part of it was we needed more from our guards. The ball pressure, we only had 7 first-half deflections. I think we had 22 or 23 deflections in the second half. And making life more difficult on the guards so that they couldn't just pick their pocket, get to the spots they wanted, and throw the pocket pass in the short roll with ease to Broome. So Broome was getting catches where he wanted because our front court was letting him get too deep, but also because our guards were not tough enough and have enough tension in their bodies to prevent passes from having any chances of being deflected, stopped, turned into steals. In the second half, we had 2 or 3 pick sixes. Will had 1, Elijah had 1. We had a 4-on-1 where Elijah threw it
Did you
off
think
the
Elijah was going to miss that dunk?
I did. If you can see the picture, you can see everyone's reaction except for mine. I'm stoked, like, holy cow, I think he took off from way too far away. But then a few possessions later, we had a 4-on-1, and Elijah went airborne and threw back to Tommy, and I don't think Tommy wasn't ready for it or whatever. But we had 3 or 4 plays of pick sixes with really catapulted by our guards' intensity and defensive disruptiveness, which did not happen in the first half.
So after the game, right, you're on a high. You still have another game. What was kind of the message, Coach Golden, also being younger in this position for the first time, to the, I want to say organization, because at this point, this is what college basketball is. Yeah. What was his message to the team and everyone about the game tomorrow?
One more. Job's not done. We're here now. Might as well go win it.
Yeah.
I know we've talked at length. It's been a talking point for the media all week. 4 1 seeds, the clear 4 best teams this year, all in the Final Four, first time since 2008. Really cool. Whoever is going to win it, whoever was going to win it, is going to be a worthy champion.
For sure.
And now it's a really unique and awesome situation. You have 2 35-4 teams. There's only one team in the sport that's going to have 36 wins. It'll either be us or Houston. And according to Ken Pom, it's 4 of the top 10 teams in the last 20 years. And whoever's the champion, whoever wins tomorrow night will be earned.
I was going to say, I thought we were pretty good, so I went back to the Ken Pom rankings. We were outside of the top 100, so we weren't that good. So I'm going to start pulling back on how good we were.
Yeah. Jonathan, Houston locks teams down.
Yes, they do.
You guys also have a top 10 defense, but knowing what they do, that they have the best defense, not just this year, but it's normal practice for them.
Yep.
When you're looking at them, when you're looking at their formula for success, I know it also goes beyond the numbers. Kelvin Sampson would share that. What's the formula that Florida must use against this Houston Cougars D tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all starts on the glass. And I know you're talking how we are going to try and score on them. Yeah. But it all starts on the glass, on the other end of the ball, holding them to one shot. I think holding them to one shot is the number one key. And then the second most important key is limiting live ball turnovers, because they're so good defensively. They use their defense to create their offense. But if we can do the best we can to limit them without live ball turnovers and then to one shot on the other end, I like our chances, even though we know it'll be very hard to score. Knowing that it'll be hard to score, is a given, we must then combat the other things they're really good at, and that's creating live ball turnovers to generate their offense, and that's getting on the glass with 15, 16, 17, 18 offensive rebounds. We were laughing as a staff last night before we even had a chance to check our phones, the media around in terms of the Duke-Houston game. I think Duke was up like 8-4, and Houston had 7 offensive rebounds. It was 4 minutes into the game. And
Right.
But it goes to our point. They have not historically been the best first shot offense, but they're going to keep generating second, third, fourth chances.
Yeah.
That wear you down.
Yeah. So, I think it's really interesting that is something that has become kind of a staple of the best teams in college basketball, right? In the NBA, you don't really have these teams that go pound the offensive glass and try to go get 40% of their misses. That's something you see a lot in college basketball. And we've seen a trend this year. You guys play 2 bigs. Houston plays 2 bigs. Duke kind of plays 2 bigs. I don't know if Cooper necessarily counts as a big, but
He's a big.
Yeah, he's a
in
big.
in college.
He's a big. Auburn plays Cardwell and Broom, or they get Chaney Johnson out there.
Gonzaga, Arizona, Michigan.
You guys, your staff in general, tends to be on the forefront of kind of the analytical revolutions that we get in this sport, right? Is there something to that? Is there something to, all right, we're going to force turnovers, we're going to get offensive rebounds, we're going to maximize possessions, we're going to put 3 shooters outside, and all we're going to do is try to get easy looks, kick out threes, transition threes. Is this the new era of college basketball that we're in?
Yeah, I think so, because a huge difference between the NBA and college basketball is the NBA has defensively has defensive 3 in the key. NCAA doesn't. So college basketball doesn't. So you can play 2 bigs and kind of keep one in the paint if you want. And then secondly, the best players, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, I don't want to say are more impactful than the best players in college, because Walter Clayton, Cooper Flagg, Janai Broom are obviously really good. But you know who the best players are in a given year, and you have to do everything you possibly can in the NBA to try and get your hands on one of those. You cannot compete or legitimately think you're going to win a national title without one of the handful of top 5 or 10 players. Whereas in college, that's not necessarily known who the best players are going to be going into the year on any given year. And I think a way to kind of combat that is doing what you said, creating more possessions, generating more second chance points, raising your floor so that your floor is consistently raised, and on years where you hit, on years where you have a Walter Clayton make a jump from third team or second team All-SEC to first team consensus first team All-American and top 3 player in the nation, then your ceiling becomes really high, and that's what we're experiencing this year.
Yeah. So the analytics part of it, right?
Yeah, no, I mean,
explain
we
to me.
talked about just how he's explained, like getting second chances, second opportunities, 1 possessions, rebounding, keeping the team in 1 possession. I mean, that is the formula.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear your best Walter Clayton story. The story that just is in your brain when you think about this kid, whether it's his work ethic, whether it's something about the human that he is.
Did he cook somebody in the summer? You were like, hold on, we might have something here.
What is it about Walt?
Walt is an incredibly special basketball player, but he's a special person too. It's so inspiring to see what a great dad he is to his baby girl, who was born November or December of 2023, so she's a year and a half now. But the most special Walt moment, I have a weird feeling, and I hope the best is yet to come. But
I like that answer.
That Colorado moment last year, where he scored 13 points in the final 2 minutes or whatever, to single-handedly will us back to be in position to tie the game, and hopefully with 1 more stop have forced overtime, was kind of the moment where I was like, holy cow, we got one. Like we can build around. We need to build around him next year. He has a chance to be special, and you can kind of just see a switch get flipped in certain games. Saw it in the UConn game, saw it in the Texas Tech game, saw it last night, and he's special. He's special.
What you guys are the analytics company, or the analytics program, right? Explain to me how Walter Clayton shooting like step back contested 23-footers over length. Explain to me how that's a good shot. Talk me into that being a good shot overall.
So even in the scenario where he doesn't make it 40 or 50% of the time like he's doing in this tournament, and if you just draw it out and say it's 28 or 30%, that's still about 0.9 points per possession. And the fact that we have 2 bigs and we're getting 40% of our misses back means we're going to get he's either going to make it 30% of the time or we're going to get it back 40% of the time. And the data in college basketball is basically overwhelming. Don't turn it over. Get a shot on the glass. Get a shot and get on the glass, and you have a real chance.
All right, no.
So
a real question.
I'm going to tell my boy coaches high school. I'm about to tell him that. But look, formula.
Real question about analytics. I was kind of messing with you there. You guys fouled intentionally twice against Texas Tech with like 3 minutes left in a game where you were down by 9. I believe it was down by 6, 2-4, whatever it was. Yeah, it was not a typical situation where you could foul. You saw Kelvin Sampson last night not foul down by 6 with under a minute left. You guys fouled way earlier than that in a one-on-one situation. Why do you do that?
Well, I think no two situations are alike. In the Texas Tech game, we were struggling to stop them. We were in the one. If we fouled, they were in the one-on-one, and we wanted to best utilize those opportunities, those possessions, to kind of maximize the variance in situations and opportunities we would have to give Walter Clayton and our offense a chance to trade 3 for 2s or 3 for 1s or 3 for 0s, and it just happened to work out. But we don't always just utilize that. Sometimes we think differently. A good example being in 2022 in our tournament game against Murray State, we were down by 9 with 3 minutes to go, and Murray State went straight keep away, took a shot clock violation, didn't get any good shots off, and we didn't have to foul because they were trying to just stall out the clock. And we were fortunate enough to score 9 points in 4 different possessions to tie it up with 20 seconds to go and eventually force overtime. But a lot of it has to do with if there's a poor free throw shooter, if they're in the single bonus or double bonus, how well we're guarding, trying to inject a little variance. Against Texas Tech, we were really struggling to stop either J.T. Toppin or Darian Williams in the second half. We did a really good job in the first half. And we wanted to kind of just, for lack of a better term, add some variance to it.
Yeah.
Well, before we let you go,
It's brilliant, bro. Jesus.
yes,
I mean, that's why they're here.
They don't teach you that in North Carolina, huh?
Nah, we got 5-star guys who roll the ball out. That's why we didn't win.
it's the best Vassar alum that we've got here.
Man.
Come on.
I'm second best one on the set.
Oh, that's very kind. I want to ask you this because I do think, look, it's on the minds of everybody, and I'm all about the game, as are you, and as are these two. But we can't ignore the fact that as this is all happening, there's over 1,700 guys in the transfer portal, and you guys want to win a national championship above all things. And when you win a national championship and you make a national championship game, I'd like to think that has some recruiting value to itself there. My point is, when you're getting a late start like you're going to be getting, you're focused on winning it all. What's that going to look like off of all this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and obviously I don't think we know necessarily yet or what have you, but I do think a couple things are true. I am of the opinion that advancing in the NCAA tournament should not be mutually exclusive to also helping your team in recruiting. And with the way the transfer portal is set up and the time and the windows, right now you can make an argument that advancing objectively hurts you in the portal for this current year. Whether that's right or wrong,
No, that's wrong.
who knows? No. I mean, whether
I'm
it
saying
does,
you're right.
Right. I'm right.
I'm saying you're right, and that's wrong.
Sure.
I mean, you
But
can't say it.
we would take the trade all day of the week.
Yeah,
every day of the week.
100%. But I'm just going to say right there, that's why the transfer portal should not be open during the NCAA tournament. Plain and simple. You should not be at a disadvantage. Florida should be allowed to do what Marquette and what the others are doing.
Sure.
It's a bunch of BS that you're at any sort of disadvantage.
Well, it works both ways, too, in terms of it not only hurts us, but it also hurts potential student athletes. There will be players on these Final Four teams that want to enter the portal that are losing opportunities as a result of still being on teams that are playing this late, being a part of a great team and winning program, and losing opportunities elsewhere. To give you an example, it would be like the NBA opening up unrestricted free agency one day after the first round of the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think there has to be a better way, a better solution. But that's a tomorrow problem, and we'd much rather be playing now and dealing with the portal later than only portaling right now. So we're happy to be here, and thank you for having us, and go Gators.
That's Jonathan Safir.
Thanks, bro.
Sapphire,
Jonathan
great
Safir, the Florida Gators competing for a national championship tomorrow night. He could not have been more right, Coach. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back after this. Feel the 68 live from Alibis in San Antonio.
The teams that win consistently are not just the most talented teams. They're the ones where the coaches truly understand their players. That's why we're excited to partner with Profile. They're changing the game with their behavioral assessment tools that help coaches connect with their athletes on a deeper level. We're thrilled to announce that Profile CEO Chad Brown is going to be joining us at our Final Four event in person in San Antonio. With the transfer portal and NIL deals, coaches need every single advantage that they can get. Profile helps programs cut through the noise and understand exactly what motivates each player and what development strategies are going to work best for them. We've talked to coaches nationwide who say that Profile has transformed how they evaluate in the portal and develop their players. Instead of guessing, they have real insights into what makes each one of those human beings tick. Whether you're coaching at the college level or want to understand the blueprint behind great teams, check out profilebehavior.com to learn more about Profile. I want my home to feel like my home. So whether I'm looking for big furniture, just a small piece for my place, or maybe some storage solutions for the basement or the garage, the answer is Wayfair. Seriously, I needed a new patio set and fire pit for my backyard. I bought it on Wayfair. It looks great on our deck, and it gives me an excuse to fire up the smoker, invite some friends over, crack a couple beers. Just last week, I bought a new chair for my office, someplace comfortable to sit while the madness takes up the 4 screens in front of me. I got it on Wayfair, clicked a few buttons. A couple days later, it showed up at my front door. They even offered to help set it up for you. Digging through online stores can be intimidating. Trust me, I know. It can be hard to find what you're looking for in your price range, but not on Wayfair. They have great options, even if you are balling on a budget like me. Wayfair has every style for every home, including mine and yours. So head to wayfair.com and shop everything home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
Oh, welcome back, everybody, to the Field of 68. One of the best things that we saw this season was the Omaha Mavericks, of course, making the NCAA tournament, but as they were doing it, they were banging away trash cans. I thought this was the best thing in college basketball. The Mavs had an amazing year, and we're joined by Diane Brown, their associate head coach, Coach Crutchfield now. Coach, congratulations on an amazing, incredible season. The easy question has already been, it's going to be asked on this interview.
Okay.
But I want you to talk about your kids and what it meant for Omaha to go dancing this year.
It was unbelievable. And you know what? Maybe the best thing that's ever come out of this deal is I'm sitting right here with you guys. I mean, I've been following on Twitter for years and years, knowing this guy forever. The fact that I'm sitting on the couch chopping up with you about a trash can right now is pretty remarkable. But it wouldn't have happened without a great group of guys we had. We had a great group of dudes that loved each other. We had 15 guys in that locker room, super, super tight bunch. We had our struggles early on. At one point, we're 4-9 in the season and kind of going, hey, are we going to figure this out? And sure enough, Coach made some changes in the lineup. We shortened some guys up, took a guy out, moved them to different, roles, if you will. And everyone just bought it. No one bitched, no one complained. And they really came together as a group. And I always tell a story one time. It's like, I walk on the floor in Baxter Arena, there's 2 hoops. And usually they're always spread out, right? They're on both sides of the floor. They're both sides of the shoot. It's 15 minutes before practice. Everyone's getting loose. And I come out and I'm standing next to Crutch, and we got all 15 guys on one side of the floor. And they're just hanging out, enjoying each other's company, messing around with each other. And there's not cliques. I mean, they're all – and so I looked at Crutch and I go, have you ever seen this before? And he goes, you mean everyone on one side of the floor? I go, yeah. He goes, I've never seen it before. And we kind of knew we had something special there. And, of course, the trash can thing would have never came even to existence if it wasn't for the wins. And so for that, they bought in. They listened to Coach. They bought in their assignments, their roles. It was just really fun to have them experience this. And for the first time in program history, to go to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that's the thing I wanted to ask you about. So when you guys started this process of building this program, not just a team but this program, when did you realize that this kind of a season was possible? Because look, the moral of the story here is that you had Frankie Fiddler, 2 seasons ago, and he hit the portal. And he was at Michigan State, had a great year at Michigan State, and you guys were picked, I believe it was 8th out of 9 teams in the Summit League.
Yes, sir.
I don't think anyone expected to see this out of this group. When was the moment that you realized, hey, we got something here?
You know, and you've met my wife.
Yes.
She has a very good memory about things I said. And she literally told
Is
me
that a good thing or a bad
that's
thing?
That's a good thing. And whoa, that's easy. But she remembers me coming home early August. And I remember I said, we have a really, really good basketball team. We've got the right pieces. Because I think a lot of times, especially nowadays, it's can you acquire talent? Can you just go out and get the best talent out there? It doesn't matter about character. It doesn't matter about person. Like, you're not assembling a team. It's like, I just want the most talented, the 13, 15 most talented guys on the planet that I can get right now, and then we'll try to figure it out. Like where Crutch did a little differently, he really went out and tried to find right pieces. A Tony Osborne that is not a high major guy that's a starting 2-guard for us. You know, you've got a J.J. White who came off the bench for us, who's now going to Baylor, who was a junior college kid. Markel Sutton, who was not recruited out of high school, that went to Connors State, who's now going to LSU. And so, I remember Markel was hurt, and this is exactly the day it was. Markel was hurt. He was not able to practice or work out. We were working out, playing pickup, and I walked over to Markel Sutton, and I said, what do you think of this group? He literally goes, I cannot wait to get out here and start playing with these guys because we're going to be really good this year, Coach. And I went home, and I remember looking at my wife going, we got a chance to be a special group. So that's when, now, did I second-guess myself when we were 4-9? Yes.
Absolutely.
And did she remind me? Yes. But nevertheless, it worked out in my favor.
There you go.
And, Coach, obviously, you guys had a great fun and a great bit with the trash can. Who was the big wrestling fan?
Hey, that is Brant Daniels.
Okay.
He is in fact, he kind of said he blew up on Twitter about, 7-8 years ago because he got a WWF tweet or whatever it was back then. And he goes, I guess it was pretty controversial. He goes, I got like 9,000 followers like in one night because it was so. He's always been a big wrestling guy.
Yep.
I was trying to invent. They kept telling me how to do something new. I had a belt. I was about to drill holes in it with a power drill. Thank God we lost because when we lost the one game, I was like, I'm either retiring this thing and putting it to bed or I'm passing it on to somebody else. And so when I gave it on to our young guys, they took it to a whole new level. It was actually cool for me to walk in the locker and be like, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to see like everyone else what's going to happen today.
Well, look, it's not officially retired yet, okay? Because you got a big W today. You got a big W today. You made it onto the field of 68.
It's a big W.
You got a big W today.
Right here.
So celebrate the win for us, man. Celebrate making it.
Is this really happening right here? We got the brute trash can right here.
Break that trash can.
I don't think there's enough room here for me to smash
Right there.
this.
You got it right there. Take out Kevin Sweeney if you need to.
You really want this going down?
Yes. More than anything in my entire life. I've never wanted anything more.
Are we going to watch
It got real quiet around here.
No, it was
really
waiting
did.
for you. A lot of
It really
pressure.
did.
You know how we celebrate victories. I need everyone to get a little loud around here.
Oh, my God.
That's good.
Hey!
Hey, we'll take
Go
that.
Mavericks, baby. Let me hear you again. Let me hear you again. Oh, Coach.
You know what? I've
That
known
was
this guy for a long time. I thought he just wanted me to come down here and just watch the show. And now
Can you smash him?
I might like that even more. But seriously, hey, okay, yeah. I guess hey, we're celebrating all victories.
Yeah,
this is a victory at PL 68. Here we go.
You celebrate all victories, man.
Coach, congratulations. An amazing year. We're all Mavericks fans now.
Absolutely.
America is. Keep it rolling. And best of luck in the offseason. and
Hey,
whatnot.
thank you guys so much. I've told this guy many times, and like we're college basketball coaches. We're trying to impact the lives of these young men. What you guys do to promote the sport and how you guys are out there helping like college basketball grow and young kids are hearing it. They're seeing your guys' show. We cannot thank you guys enough from the college coaching world. I mean, it's a bigger impact than you guys. I mean, I hope you guys know how big, but you guys are making a huge impact. I hear about you guys' show all the time. And so from the bottom of our heart as coaches, college basketball coaches, thank you for helping grow the game. Thank you for all you guys do. Appreciate you guys. Seriously, thank you so much.
Kyan Brown. Hey,
Great year.
Markel Suttons
Great.
don't grow on trees. Hey, that kid was a stud.
They don't.
He's a stud. He's a
Total
stud.
stud.
Absolutely.
The Omaha Mavericks and the Trash Cans and Coach Brown. We will be right back here on the field of 68. We're live from Alibis with much more to come. Stay with us.
Owning property in the state of Texas is difficult enough. Paying taxes on your property should not make your life any more complicated. Ownwell believes that when it comes to paying property taxes, you should only pay what's fair. In under 3 minutes, you can sign up and have their team of Texas experts start saving you money without a single upfront cost. It's easy. When you sign up, you get an instant estimate of the tax savings they can get you so that when that property tax bill comes due, the amount that you have to fork over to Uncle Sam isn't quite as painful. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of customers receive a reduction with an average savings of more than $1,100. Imagine how much less stress you'll have in your life knowing that you could take some of the money that you have earmarked for the IRS and spend it on, I don't know, an 85-inch flat screen to watch March Madness. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most Texas counties. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/CBB. That's OWNWELL.com/CBB. College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light.
Welcome back to Alibis in downtown San Antonio. We are gearing up for tomorrow night's national championship game between the 35-4 Houston Cougars, the 35-4 Florida Gators. Doug Gottlieb, the head coach of the Green Bay Phoenix, joins us now. Jeff Goodman, Rob
I always
Doster.
forget he's the head coach. When you said that, I forget.
I know.
It's
yes,
weird.
it feels very normal to be
Right?
here with you guys.
Yes.
You don't.
Yes.
You don't forget because you're dealing with it every hour.
Yes, you're correct. Like, what are you doing down here? Like, I'm on my phone every second of the day.
So, Coach,
Yes.
let's dive into last
All right,
night.
you don't have to call him coach. Let's
Yeah,
call him
seriously,
Doug.
call me Doug. It's okay.
Let's call him Doug.
It's so weird. Like, literally, May 14th, everybody called me Doug. Then all of a sudden, May 15th, hey, Coach. Hey there, Coach.
I wanted to call him Coach.
It's okay. Fancy, you can call me anything you want, dude.
You know what I call him? I always, in our show, I would always, Douglas.
Yes.
You've been called a lot of things.
Yes.
A few.
Many of them
things.
accurate.
A few things. Some of them, yeah. Some of them
No, I
are
mean,
accurate.
I will say this to you.
Yes.
Field of 68 junkies that are watching out there. You and I were on set together in New Orleans for Goodman's legendary phone hit to the table. And you turn to me and you go, did we do something wrong? Like, was that us? I
It
go,
was not you guys.
I go, I
It
don't
was
think so.
not you guys.
No, it was not.
We can confirm.
It was not. All right. Let's talk about last night. We know what the elephant in the room is that Duke was up by 14 points and lost this game to Houston. What's your overarching take?
Again, I am not comparing Horizon League basketball to the national semifinal, but I lived that. I lived that a couple times this year. Our last game of the season, we played Oakland at home. We're up 14 with like 4.5 to go, up 5 with 18 seconds to go, and lose in overtime. We fouled up 3, we don't box out, and they lay it in. I mean, first, it happens way faster in real time, than it does watching it on TV. It's just what just we were playing for a national championship, now we're not. I think, look, they won the game because of the rebounding, and that we lost so many games this year. You win and lose games based upon 3 things, right? Guard the ball, value the ball, rebound the ball. Nothing else. I saw all the stats you guys put on the Twitter page of all the different things that they won. Doesn't matter if you don't rebound the ball. And I thought Proctor, especially the whole game, Duke switches 5. That means they switch every screen. You can't do it if you have one guy that won't or can't rebound. I was surprised that John didn't go back to Caleb Foster. I was surprised that Mason Gillis didn't play late, considering he played a national championship game. I was surprised their inbounds against the press was like they had never seen a press before. It made no sense. If somebody's on the ball, you have to send at least one, if not multiple dudes long. You have to give multiple options. You know, there's a bunch of different ways to get the ball in bounds. I didn't like either of their plays that didn't get the ball in bounds. But the biggest thing was they stopped running offense.
Hero ball.
It wasn't just hero ball. Even Cooper turned down an open 3 to then shot fake, get in the lane, and shoot a midi. If you look at their shot chart in the first half, it is analytics 101. It is all at the rim or threes. Second half, they got into middies, and Proctor turns it over. I thought going away from Kahn late, he was so good at playing. When they put 2 on the ball, passing the ball, it was like either they were scared or John just hey, Cooper, take us home.
Everybody disappeared in the last 10 minutes. Everybody did.
They had one made field goal.
So there's a lot to it, but I think the biggest thing is, you got to keep running offense. You got to keep doing, because Houston didn't change anything, right? If you set a ball screen, they're going to put 2 on the ball and they're going to rotate. And so they went away from it, ran some ISO stuff, and they played right into the hands of Houston by taking middies. That's what they want you to do. And I mean, Houston screwed up the technical foul on reaching over the line.
Right.
And they still won the game in regulation. It's insane. But, I mean, it's all the classic things. Stop running offense, start taking middies, don't box out, miss the front end of a 1-on-1, turn the basketball over. And then, look, man, I'm just telling you, I think the guy's an amazing coach. He's got all these ATOs. And out of a timeout, they run an ISO for Cooper Flag for a 17-foot midi, which is not a terrible shot.
I mean, he got a good shot, Doug.
Analytically, that's not a good shot.
I don't think it's a good shot. It's a turnaround fadeaway over.
I didn't like that.
And then look, Houston's horrible to watch. Let's just be honest. If not for the fact we love basketball, first half was brutal, terrible to watch. I mean, that's how they commit so many fouls. You just get tired of calling.
Right, they're not going to keep blowing the whistle.
But how about Duke wasn't in the bonus, the double bonus, and then they call a foul on Cooper Flag with all the contact in the game.
I looked back at it a couple more times this morning, and you're right.
Not a foul.
Yeah, it was.
Not just but you have to do it in the context of. I thought the game was very loosely officiated, which again I disagree with. It plays in the hands of Houston, but Duke still was fine. But to officiate it loosely the whole time, and then with how many seconds?
Make that call. Yeah,
18 seconds.
Why? It didn't affect the play. Houston got the ball anyway. I disagree. And then the last thing is, they got tough dudes, man. Right? And so when we were about rock bottom, and there were several that felt like rock bottom this year, we're on the bus, and my coaches turned to me and like, Coach, you got to give us what your bullets are, your hierarchy of things you want for players we recruit. And I said, toughness and character, and really character and toughness are tied at the hip. And you can say whatever you want about Kelvin, but it goes back to we played against him in Oklahoma. His teams were always tougher than a $2 steak. And Duke's been tough the whole year, but the tougher team won last night.
Toughness like that.
Yeah.
You haven't seen toughness like that.
He becomes a coach for 1 year, and all of a sudden he's tougher than a $2 steak. Are we gonna get all
That's
the cliches?
Not the first line.
All
That's
the
not
sayings?
the first time I've broken out that line, bro. I actually trademarked that one.
So with Scheyer, we've kind of battled here a little bit on how do we assess John Scheyer now overall moving forward in terms of the pressure he's going to feel. You lose in the Elite Eight to NC State. Now you have the number 1 pick, the best team, a 14-point lead with 8 minutes left, and you piss it away. How does he go in next year? I mean, Coach K only won 1 title in his last 10 years, okay? So,
and it took him forever to win his first one.
Correct.
Listen,
correct.
you and I are old enough. He's not old enough to know.
But John Scheyer inherited a hell of a program here. What he's done is amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Where do you stand right now on John Scheyer, kind of where he's at after year 3 at Duke?
I mean, they played in the Final Four. They should have won the game. It's gonna happen. I mean, again, if you look back, here's one. Kelvin's first good team at Houston. Remember, they choked it away against, I think, Michigan in the Elite Eight.
Jordan Poole.
Was that the Elite Eight or Sweet 16?
Jordan Poole.
Yeah,
No,
right?
round of 32.
Was that round of 32?
Yeah. Brad
Rob
Nessler
Gray.
called it.
Yeah,
Brad
Rob-
Nessler called it.
the Rob Gray team, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It was in
so
Wichita.
and like, look, Kelvin Sampson. We're telling out when he was at Oklahoma, they were Choklahoma until finally they got to the Final Four with Hollis Price, right? In like 2001 or so.
You're only a choker till you're not.
Right.
I mean, listen,
Jay
Lute
Wright,
Olson.
Matt Painter.
Wait, I'll give you a great one. I went to Arizona. How many first-round exits did Lute Olson have?
All the time.
And then what happened?
And then all of a sudden, then he won one.
He won one, and
Right.
he's a Hall of Famer.
3 years
So
ago,
it
Dan
can
Hurley lost to
change.
Teddy Allen.
So
Right.
it
No,
it,
Dan
it
Hurley
does
was gonna
happen.
be fired. I
Yeah,
mean, he was a
yeah,
year
Dan,
away
Dan
from
Hurley
being
couldn't
fired.
coach until he won a title. Like, that's the way that it works for the national narrative.
Yes.
And what frustrates me is that I don't think to properly evaluate John Scheyer, you can just look at those last 8 minutes. You can bang that drum and criticize him for those last 8 minutes, but what he's done overall is really impressive. And I'm just afraid when I turn on First Take tomorrow morning.
It's if it becomes a pattern.
Yeah.
If you don't adjust,
Yes.
right? If you don't adjust. I would only say this, again, not even close to the level of success of John. I don't pretend to be that. But of the litany of things that I've learned, I wanted to have an old head with me, and I'm hiring one for next year because you just have
Why
to have
didn't you hire one this year?
because the guy I want to hire my high school coach,
Wow,
who's a great junior college coach,
congratulations.
and he had
I
to
didn't know you
retire,
were-
and he couldn't retire until
You're hiring
December.
him?
And
Was it a
whatever.
media member
It's-
or a?
There's a finite amount of, and I want to hire somebody I knew and I trusted. And I it doesn't mean that other guys weren't good. I talked to several really, really talented high school coaches, but I just didn't, I don't know, I should have leaned on one. It was a mistake. It's okay, I'm going to make mistakes. So I did see John up there kind of on an island and no one coming up to help him. And I would say, and look, Bruce has been through it. Hell, what the hell were they doing at the start of the second half last night? And Bruce has won a national title at Southern Indiana, and he was this close to playing for a national title last time they were here.
Mm-hmm.
So it does happen. The problem is if it happens multiple times, and then it becomes an issue, and you don't adjust.
What's your early lean on tomorrow night?
I mean, Florida's interesting, obviously. I mean, Walter Clayton Jr. is amazing, right? Just ridiculous. You know what you're going to get with Houston. You put a ball screen, they're going to put two on the ball, and then you got to figure out how you're going to play on the backside of it. You get 1 day to prep for it. I don't know how many other teams play that way, how many teams match them physically. But the one thing Florida does have is a ton of size and tenacity on the boards. You win the battle of the boards, you beat Houston. Really, and you don't turn the ball
You
over.
worry watching Condon last night that he might have another performance like that, or no?
No, because
or do you think
I
he'll
actually
bounce back.
I don't think it was as bad as people think it was. No, because I don't think they were mistakes of where he lacked confidence or he was tight. He's just like his dad was an Australian rules football player. Like he was fouling like crazy.
Janai just beat the shit out of him early.
Yeah, Janai's like 27
I know,
years old.
I know. Janai's a man.
And he's
I
really,
get
really
it.
good.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
the
And
Houston, Houston guys are 27
I mean, look, if we
years
want to say
old.
the similarities in the two games were this. Auburn was running great stuff. They ran a Spain action the first half that I'm texting my guys, like, clip that, put that in. That was amazing.
And then Chad Baker Mazzara 3 when he came all the way around the.
No, it was a different one. But that's when they're running the flex stuff. But they're running all different sorts of stuff. And then again, it gets tight. They start going ISO, and they stop running stuff.
They're so good, and not to cut you off, but Bruce is so good at when he's running the Spain, creating the false side action, the weak side action, to be able to confuse the tag. Like your tagger has no idea what he's supposed to be doing on the floor. They're so good at that.
Yes, it's really, really hard. You're like, wait, where's the tag guy? What are we doing here?
That's why they get so many lobs out of it.
Yes, and again, they're very, very talented at it. But the point is that the similarities in the two, I thought, were that when things got tight, one, Florida cranked up defense. Auburn was amazing defensively in the first half. They were, wow. I was like, holy cow, are they good defensively? But then they kind of started going ISO ball, same thing. So what's my early lean? I think Florida wins, but it's only confirmation bias because I had Florida and Duke in the national championship game. Like,
that's how I am too. That's how. But now, don't you look at it differently right now after watching Houston?
No, because I thought Houston was brutal last night. And anybody says, well, all Florida has is
you're
Walter
right.
Clayton.
For 8 minutes, Houston was really good.
Yes.
But you're right. For most of the game, they were completely outplayed.
Right. But again,
they're
like,
tough. I just
can you
worry.
imagine? Can you imagine playing another game tomorrow night with
I
that
just look
that
at
war?
Walter
That,
Clayton. Here's
you know
what I
what?
look at. I look at Walter